Okay, I legitimately find the freakiest stuff on Facebook. Obviously, we have to talk about this picture. So I caught this in a public Facebook group for this middle school in Maine. And it was based on this picture that somebody posted in the group. It's like a new middle school development. Then looking at the comments, people started asking, who's the person in the window? I had to zoom in just to see what they were even talking about, and it's this. It's definitely this face in the window. But I guess from the comments, there's like enough of an outcry that they're able to get police involved to try to check the cameras inside the school. Following up on the story, they did have cameras inside the school, but this is footage from those cameras in the same location as the same time as the other picture was taken, and there's nobody in there. Following up again in this group, everybody is arguing in the comments. People are saying this is a trick of the light, it's an optical illusion, and some people are like, no, that is definitely a face. So somebody increased the brightness and the sharpness of that picture, and that's pretty difficult to explain. And
life-saving advice from movies that can actually kill you. So, according to Hollywood, if someone is passed out with no pulse, you should straddle them, give them mouth to mouth, and beat on their chest like a goddamn gorilla until eventually they come back to life and everything is completely normal. Now, I'm not saying CPR doesn't work, but it only works like 2 to 4% of the time, and when properly performed, you usually end up cracking the person's ribcage. You know, death sounds like a pretty good option as opposed to someone literally shattering my ribs and slobbering down my throat. I feel like this one should be pretty obvious, but taking a bullet to the arm or leg does not just make you bleed a little bit and leave you able to fight off enemies completely unfazed. About half the time you get shot in the arm, it literally never works. Ever again. But if you do get shot anywhere, you better hope and pray that it's your ass. Tons of fat, no major arteries, you'll be fine. I mean, especially if you're this guy. He would definitely be fine.
This is the scariest drawing ever made by a child. A mother was going to a school to pick up her daughter. The daughter ran to her mother in excitement and was telling her that she had something to show her mom. Once they got back home and were settled down in the house, the daughter pulled out this picture from her backpack. Now, if you can't read what the picture says, it says me plus daddy dancing on mommy's grave. Now, the mom was very disturbed by this and decided to call the father. The father was at work and was going to be on his way home in a couple hours, so he just said to wait a little bit and that he'd be home soon. So that's what the mother did. The mother waited, but you won't believe what happened while she was waiting. Hit the plus button for part 2. This is the scariest drawing ever made by a child. Part 2. It's getting very late now, and the mother is wondering if the father is just being held up at work, especially since the dad works a very busy office job. Now it is getting around 10 o'clock at night, and she is going to tuck in her daughter. So, as she's tucking in her daughter, she asked why she made that picture, and the daughter said this very disturbing thing. Well, my best friend told me to draw it because she said that it's gonna be happening very soon. And the mother asked, which best friend? And the daughter replied, the one that you guys can't see and always make fun of me for. The mother begins to panic, especially since the house is very dark and it's just her and the daughter all alone because the father hasn't came home. This is the scariest drawing ever made by a child. Part 3. The mother hears a weird noise coming from the basement as she's tucking in the daughter, so she turns on all the lights in the house, grabs a weapon, and proceeds to head downstairs. As she heads down the stairs and enters the basement, she hears a whisper. She freaks out and runs back up the stairs, right as the father enters the house. The father, confused, asks what is going on. She then explains everything that just happened throughout the day, including what she heard from the whisper. The whisper said, "You're next." So the mother called the police, and police began to investigate the house, but they didn't find anything. As the police are filing a report, the daughter comes from upstairs to the kitchen in which they're all talking. The daughter then proceeds to say this in front of everyone. My best friend changed her mind. Hit the plus.
Just imagine capturing this on your Ring camera. It was 2018 and just outside of her condo in Phoenix, Arizona when Jessica Catania got an alert on her phone and saw this. According to her eventual statement, she immediately realizes she's in danger. She locks her bedroom door, she starts dialing 911, but that's when she heard it. So whoever this man was, he then pries open the living room window and pops out the screen. He's in the house. But this woman, Jessica, she's like incredibly resourceful in a stressful situation. She immediately grabbed a hammer, any weapon that she could find from her closet, and she hides in her bathroom. But while she's waiting in there, she's got the door locked, but it would only be about 3 minutes before she eventually hears police inside her condo. But the problem is, they never found the man. To this day, she has no idea who this man was or why he broke into her condo. In the investigation, police would eventually nickname him Smiles.
We might know what's going to happen in 2023.
Okay, so if you don't know who this is actually Baba Vanga.
and she is known for predicting the future. She predicted the Chernobyl disaster, Princess Diana's death, and many other things. And her predictions for 2023 are actually terrifying. She predicts that the Earth's orbit will change course. This could cause several changes on Earth that could have devastating effects, including a solar storm which would cause high radiation levels. And if that's not bad enough, she also predicted for 2023 the arrival of extraterrestrial beings on Earth, and they will be extremely hostile, leading to the deaths of millions of people. Now keep in mind, these are just predictions, so there's no reason to get all worked up, but Baba Vanga's predictions are 85% accurate. So I don't know about you, but I am not looking forward to 2023.
Dash cam or car footage, it's always gonna give me chills. This isn't even like dash cam footage, but this was a video that was shot inside of this woman's car. It is the final frame of her video where it shows an unknown person, presumably a man, who seemed to be attacking her in this parking lot. The video also starts earlier where it shows this person who's approaching her car from across the lot. So I had to do some digging on this story to figure out, why did she not drive away? Why did she not just hit him with the car? Although her name stays anonymous in these reports, she had apparently come back to her car in the parking lot and it wouldn't start. Police later learned somebody cut those brakes in her car. So the car won't start. This person is approaching her. She tries to call 911, but it takes time for cops to get there. So she pulls out her phone to film her attacker. This is her last resort. But there is no way to identify who this person was or why they did what they did to her.
Whatever you see first reveals who you are, part 11. Up first is this photo. If you saw the young girl in the dress first, it means that you cannot wait to have kids and it's the one thing you want to do in your life. You want this because your childhood was the best time of your life, and you want your kids to experience the same thing. But if you saw the human skull first, it means you're the type of person that hates violence, and you would do anything in your power to avoid it. You're the friend who always tries to de-escalate any situation. Next up is this photo. If you saw the bunny first, it means you would rather hang out with one of your good friends instead of a group of people, and would rather stay in and watch a movie instead of going to a party. But if you saw the duck first, it means that you hate being lonely, but you always choose to be lonely. Whenever you get the opportunity to go do something, you just stay inside your house and don't go.
Capturing this on video by accident is one of my biggest fears. This is a cropped still of a video that was captured from the Old North building at Georgetown University. And a lot of people debate whether or not this video and this still that was captured is someone who's hiding in the building or it's something else. So let's talk about that something else, because a lot of people think that that face is actually the face of Jonathan Sterling. Jonathan was a former student of the university in the 80s, and he was found unexpectedly in a body of water. And to this day, that case has never been solved. So the question is, could this be the face of Jonathan Sterling just staring at us through the window of the Old North building?
This kid got a Furby doll in the mail from an anonymous address, and you won't believe what happened. This story comes from the mother's point of view on the whole situation. The kid got a Furby doll in the mail around Christmas time of 2018. Now the kid is at a very young age, so he was perfectly okay with getting a random toy out of nowhere right before Christmas. But this wasn't any ordinary Furby doll. This doll was pitch black and had black and white eyes. It was an older model Furby doll, so it didn't have the LED glowing eyes and had older technology. It was in mint condition, and it was a perfectly normal doll. But that all changed the night of Christmas Eve, when the doll began talking to the child. And what the doll told the child will scare you and give you
3 of the most disturbing facial reconstructions of unknown people. Number 1 is the suitcase body. Before finally being identified as Jenny Gomez, her decomposed remains were found in a suitcase and then sketched by police. The state of her body was not good, and sadly this sketch is almost unrecognizable and doesn't really look like it has features of a normal person. Number 2 is the woman of Oklahoma Road. Discovered off I-40, when the remains were finally found, they were so badly decayed that police initially couldn't determine the sex of the body. Reconstructions of the skull indicated a very unusual bone structure and a body that only stood at about 4'8". This would have been a very recognizable person, but no one ever came forward to claim that they knew the woman of Oklahoma Road. Number 3 is the Ina Jane Doe. I don't like looking at this picture at all. There's It's really, really bad. It was in 1993 that the severed head of a disabled woman was found by a group of children in Illinois hanging from a bush. An attempt was made to reconstruct her features, but no one ever identified her. It was deemed as pretty unusual that a disabled woman wouldn't have anyone identify her, as she most likely had contact with either doctors or even a caretaker at some point. The Ina Jane Doe remains an unknown, and this reconstruction is by far one of the most disturbing.
Selfies that were taken seconds before death, Part 2. Businessman Gia Lajuna attempted to take a selfie with a 1.5-ton walrus at a zoo in China. After climbing into the enclosure, the walrus grabbed him from behind, dragged him underneath the water, drowning him in a matter of minutes. Chinese daredevil Wu Yongjing was an Instagram celebrity best known for taking selfies on top of skyscrapers. While trying to take a selfie on top of a skyscraper in 2017, he lost his grip, falling 62 stories to his death. In 2014, during Spain's annual Running of the Bulls event, 32-year-old David Gonzalez decided to stop and take a selfie in front of two bulls that were colliding behind him. All of a sudden, a third bull that he didn't see came from his side and gored him to death. Seemingly innocent paintings with sinister backstories, Part 1. This disturbing self-portrait was painted by American serial killer and sex offender John Wayne Gacy. He was known as the Killer Clown and assaulted and murdered at least 33 young boys. After being diagnosed with Alzheimer's, artist William Utermohlen created a series of self-portraits to track the progression of his disease. And as you can see from the paintings, over time he began to forget what his own face looked like. This normal-looking painting of a bird in front of a sunset has a surprisingly dark artist behind it. If you look in the bottom right corner, you will see the signature of infamous cult leader and murderer Charles Manson, who was charged with the murders of 9 people in 1971.
Pictures with terrifying things in the background. The last one has gotta be the creepiest. As you can see in the picture above me, there's 2 girls just having a good time and enjoying themselves. But if you look closely, you can see a third girl is standing there menacingly. Now this picture is the inside of a burnt down building. Now it's not very creepy by itself, but when you zoom in closer, there's something staring at you. But before we get to the last one, make sure to double tap the video. Now this picture looks absolutely normal, just a girl in her room taking a selfie. But there's something under the mattress watching her.